Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. I have another channel on astrology and a Facebook page, which you find in the description box below. In this video, God has guided me for some time now to pick up the one of the topics which he pushed forward during my previous videos, um, and that is related to sexuality and the use of sexuality or manipulation, better yet, of sexuality in bondage creation. This is a topic on which I alluded a few times, but I did not expand too much because I know it's a sensitive topic, and it is literally part of the broader topic of sexuality, namely about the same sex type of connections. And I think actually it's very easy to understand why I was hesitant to talk too much about it. I did mention in a few videos before that it is my deep belief based on research that I have done, that there is no such thing as naturally born or inherited homosexuality or any type of same-sex relation. But it's an energy manipulation, literally, and the mind programming. I said this before, but I did not delve too much into it because I know it's a sensitive topic. It's a lot of campaigning and a lot of controversy and conflictual situations related to that. My purpose is not to generate any conflict or to disrespect anyone. I do understand and I deeply believe that there are people who struggle with this issue. I also do understand that there are people who embraced a narrative which was fed onto them, and that they've been victim of energy manipulation and mind programming, in order for them to believe that they identify as a different sex than they are, that they, and this is when you talk about who you identify as, this is already a situation of public discourse, because essentially what you're doing, you're not talking to yourself, you're talking to others, and you demand from others to embrace your vision. Now, you can have whatever vision you want. There are many people who have lots of vision and dreams in their life. It doesn't mean that they become reality, but these individuals actually impose their vision onto other people, and they demand to be treated as they see themselves. This is very dangerous situation, because maybe somebody wants to be seen as like doppelgangers would like to be seen as me. Now, what should I do? Am I required by the law to believe them that they are me? No, of course not. It's the same thing with these individuals. But I'm not so much concerned about these ones who are actually publicly doing this, but I'm much more concerned about those who are struggling with the issue, and they actually have a quiet cry for help. These ones who already embraced and are in the step of imposing to others their own view, I believe this is deeply wrong, and in my view should be sanctioned by law, because you cannot impose on somebody else something that you imagine and you cannot actually prove it, or you created anyhow. The idea is that for a long time I have seen this in my research. Sexuality is being used upon everyone, and literally that's a broad topic, but this particular topic of same-sex type of relation, this has been part of my research only recently, whereby I was actually researching something else, but God has shown this to me. I was interested particularly why an individual listened to another. Basically, one individual was pushing another one. There are two males, and was pushing the other one into doing a lot of wrong things. And I kept asking God, why is he listening to him? What's the power that he holds on to him? How? And of course, long time ago, it was revealed that it was a sexual relation between the two of them. They're two males. And I kept asking. I said, I don't see why. I don't understand why. Because as I said, I do energy diagnosis. So when I research something, God is showing to me that energy, so I can feel that energy. When you read energy, you actually feel it. I hope everybody understands that. Um, Anything that you actually read in terms of energy, you feel it. It goes through your energy body for a very brief period of time, but you don't do it on yourself. It is God who does it for you, so you will understand the answer. Yeah. So I said, I see no sexual energy between them. So how come they are in a sexual relation with one another? Because there is no sexual energy there. And God has shown to me that essentially the sexual relation between the two males was created on purpose by one of them, by trauma bonding the other one, and grooming him in astral space in different circumstances, mostly during sleep time, but because this is when grooming is done more heavily, but also through all sorts of so this was the energy work of manipulating him into believing that he is attracted to the other one. But I literally tell you that as I was researching this, I looked at it, and there was no sexual energy there, but there was a very strong hypnosis energy, literally, which basically was hypnotizing that individual into believing that he is sexually attracted to another male. But in fact, there was no sexual energy. It was all by mind and by hypnosis. And God has shown to me, and I said, still, okay, he's hypnotizing him when they have all these parties and stuff, and they have these sexual encounters. But I cannot believe that this man cannot, at one point in his life, sit down and ask himself, why am I doing this? Yeah. Because since there is no sexual energy, there's clearly no attraction for him to do it, but still he's hypnotized into doing it. Okay, when the hypnosis is over, I hope you question yourself and you review your energy and you see, are you or not attracted to that man? So God has shown to me that basically he was pulled into this through promiscuous practices of parties and all these beliefs about open relations, about group sex, about whatever they do more in this kind of promiscuous type of partying and leading life. And some of it God has shown me specifically for that individual, because it's not the only case, I saw others, but for that individual, God has shown me that he was initially tricked into it because of religious spirituality practices related to specific type of ritualic practices which involve this kind of encounters, you know. So actually I did research this, and it's not something that I say off the top of my head, and I know it's triggering for many, but God is guiding me to actually go in depth and explain the full all the aspects involved, because this is being indeed, as I said in the previous video, but I was not yet ready to talk about it. God just pushed me. Literally, this is done. This is actually part of the bondage is created. First of all, is for in order to steal power from that individual, because in many ways this is a distorted look of the relations, and you steal power from that individual not only through the trauma bonding which you create on that individual, but also in terms of self-perception, how that individual sees himself. Particularly if you talk about, and this is the case of that case study, if you talk about an individual who is in a marriage with a woman and he wants to save appearances, so he's very cautious about not others not finding out, it also becomes in this situation also a topic of blackmail, if it's not out of the closet, the whole thing. But it is a psychological pressure that you put on that individual, because there's a lot of levitation which is being sent to all of us about all of the issues that we are worried about. Anything that you are concerned about, anything that you're worried about, they will send levitation to you on that matter, in order to create a wound, a fear, something, a trigger, basically, a trigger in order to open you emotionally. If you are worried about money, and you're eager to get more money, they will constantly send to you poverty mindset, feeling that you don't have enough money. Yeah, if you're worried about, I don't know what, I'm not going to give examples now, but in this case, if you're worried about people finding out that on the low you are practicing this same-sex thing, they will constantly bombard you with levitation on that, in order to generate fear, anxiety, shame, and so on and so forth. So many other nuances of emotions which will drain you and will open you energetically. So they will do more programming on you. So they will use you in the way they want. Now, this is how it's done. But as I said in the previous video, the purpose of convents doing this is in order to feed their own leaders. In order to feed their own leaders with the energy of the light. It's pretty simple. So for this reason, there are many type of programming that they can do. And one of them is sexual demons attaching to you. But you must understand, when these individuals work with demons, okay, I will not say they can program the demons, because this is not the proper word. But they can actually, when you task a demon to feed on someone, you have freedom to say what specifically to feed on. They can say, I can task you to feed on her fear of being fat, or being rejected, or being poor, or being abandoned, or being whatever. Yeah. And then that demon does work on you precisely to generate that type of fear in you. Yeah. It's sort of like a programming, but it's not a programming in the traditional sense. It's basically a conditioning of that demon. You can say to a demon, go feed on this individual, and leave free choice to that demon how to feed. Or you can say to that demon to feed on something precisely. For example, the sexual demons, they can send them sexual demons saying that it's normally a demon. That's the sexual demon. A normal demon, which is being sent and tasked to feed only on your sexual energy. For this reason, the demon will work a lot on generating sexual energy from you. You understand how it works? So it's basically they can task them to do specific things. So if so sort of say a contract was done on you, and it was decided that they want to feed on your sexual energy, they will attach this to you. But then if they decide that you're a male and they want to program you on a same-sex relation, because they decided that they want to feed their leader on your energy, and maybe that leader is stealing then your ranking, your embodiment, everything, yeah, then they will task the demon to do just that, namely to feed on your energy, sexual energy. For example, the way God showed it to me, it's like a demon is inside of that man, yeah, and that demon is starving and is feeding on sexuality, sexual energy generated between that man and another man. And God has shown to me that demon was programmed on a specific individual. So for this reason, the host body, the man who was programmed and the attachment was carrying the attachment, basically, if he doesn't acknowledge, he will do whatever the demon generates in him. It can generate desire to do same sex with many men or with just one man. It depends how they program the demon, and it depends what's the contract, what is being required to be created on that individual. This is a bondage. All of this is a bondage. And I'm speaking out because God wanted me to give these explanations. For me, I learned about this in my research about bondage breaking of my own. But there was one individual who was supposed to do one thing, and he's from my lineage, yeah? And he constantly was betraying. And I was working with God in trying to identify what the hell is wrong. Why is he not doing the right thing, you know? And this is how I actually learned about all of this, yeah? So I actually have seen this. God has shown it to me exactly how it works. So I actually can tell you that for sure, same-sex relations are literally programmed energetically and mind programming, and also a lot of darkness, work with darkness in terms of demonic attachments, in terms of all sorts of other sorcery and so on. And broadly speaking now, trying to zoom out from this much detailed description of the situation, I will have to say that anyone must wonder why there is so much, how to say, so much campaign for this, that individuals try to teach children, young children, about homosexuality, when you should allow for that child to identify or know himself or herself, to identify himself who he is. You don't need to teach him a narrative. This is not necessarily part of a normal relation. Why you insist on feeding that on children? You must see also the type of I used to have in school, in the military school, I used to have a very good professor of history, who always he had a very unconventional way of teaching, and one of the things, very smart things that he used to say, he was like, every time when you encounter a specific type of narrative, go and look who's the editor, who's the publisher of the book, who paid for this campaign to be launched, who supports it, whose agenda is this, you know? Because it's important before you read the book to identify if you're reading the honest truth of the author, or was the author conditioned by the publishing and editing houses to present a specific type of narrative. Yeah, it's the same with this. If you look behind it, who supports all of this financially, because there are so many situations and cases and causes in the world that could have been supported, but nobody found interest to support them. However, this topic received huge support financially and in a lot of ways, not just financially, you know. This must be investigated. Who exactly supports this agenda? Literally. Because normally, if it would be just a normal choice of yours, it wouldn't be so flashy, and you wouldn't insist so much in imposing that to others. You would just live your life. Normally, a decent person shouldn't be asking about your sexuality. That should be a private thing. It shouldn't be so flashy and so aggressively pushed in some other people's mind as a mind programming. You have to think of sexuality as this. You have to think of same-sex relations as being okay. Now, I don't think it's okay. I literally don't think it's okay. I don't think it's a crime, but I don't think it's okay. I think you should actually investigate within yourself why you make that choice. Anyhow, I know personally, I know why you made that choice, and I explained what already. This can be actually very easily seen by anyone who knows to read energy. Anyone who knows to read energy, particularly those that actually have been through this is what I said to God. I said, I don't understand why that man cannot sit on a chair when he's not under hypnosis and just observe his own energy. Okay, now you're away from that group in which you are doing all those promiscuous things. You're with yourself. Do you actually feel attracted to that man or not? You know, because if you sit and ask yourself and you don't just try to fit in or to accept what others are doing, and just because this is what it is with these open relations and group sex and all of these practices. God has shown to me that many individuals actually went to these parties without knowing what's going to happen. And when they got there, they basically didn't want to feel not excluded, but they didn't want to seem like they cannot fit in, or they cannot manage whatever there was the agenda there. And God has shown to me that many of them were actually, during all of these practices, they were more not only hypnotized but also bullied by others because of not doing these things and so on. So I literally tell you that this is God's message basically on this. I didn't investigate this just now. This is a topic which was shown to me by God for a long time. I just didn't feel like talking about it or writing about it, because God actually guided me to do so, to write or to speak. But every time I said, let's push this later, because I don't think people will be open to understand. And it's not that I think that now they're open to understand, but I think this is why God tricked me and he pushed me to talk about it during a video when I couldn't control the topic anymore. So now I'm coming back with further explanations in order to clarify whatever is of interest. I hope it's of interest, because I deeply believe that all of these individuals are victims. Honestly, I say this. I believe they are victims of energy manipulation, mind programming, and the target for this is for others to feed, either for others to feed on them if they are light workers, or simply they are just sort of like you need a group of doing something in order to attract others. They're like, I don't know how you call these people, that this kind of thing which they're luring others into doing the same, putting pressure on others to do the same, creating a narrative, basically, literally creating a narrative, but literally not being anyone's choice. I believe that it isn't anyone's choice. Some people do it for money. Simply, they are just required to do this in order to push others into the same practice, and in order to be used as an example and to put pressure on others to do the same. And others simply are just targeted, and they are literally groomed, programmed, mentally, energetically. They are victims of darkness attachments on themselves, demonic sexuality attachments, and so on, just in order to push them into specific type of practices. On one hand is because they want to feed with energy their specific leader, be it, and this applies for women too. Exactly the same story applies for women, because they want to feed, as I said in the previous video, their queen and their king, which they are fake, of course. That's why they need to feed on you. But the other thing is that they want to drain you of energy, because this is a life force energy. The sexual energy, the sacral chakra and sex chakra are generating your life force energy. And if they drain you from that, you're never going to be able to pull yourself together to actually fight for yourself, to stand in your own power, and to take power, and find your way in terms of spiritual path. Yeah. So this is also another consideration, of course. Yeah. That's another thing. Another thing, the third one, is that I explained in another video. As you enter in sexual relations with individuals, you open karmic cycles with them. You don't know what kind of darkness attachments they carry. You will take those upon yourself through sex, particularly through the climax moment. Gifts can be transferred. So they can take, if you have sexual relations with an individual who knows how to do this, they will take your gift. A spiritual gift can be transferred, I would say stolen, through sexual intercourse. This is already knowledge, public knowledge in spiritual world. Everybody knows it. Not everybody knows how to do that, but this can be done. So they can, through these sexual relations, they can open karmic relations with you, and they can take your gifts. Literally, they can take your gifts. So this is very important for you to understand what role the sexuality plays in your life. And if you understand this, I said this, once you open a karmic cycle with an individual, it's a karmic cycle is 7 years. You understand it? So imagine that individual had many other partners with whom he's in a karmic cycle with each one of them. And then you enter in karmic cycle with that individual and other karmic cycles with the other individuals which are connected to him. So by doing these practices, you enter in a world of darkness and huge load of karma, which you have to wash out afterwards. So do you understand how much spiritual fighting and work and healing you need to do in order to get rid of it? This is a question that I will leave for you to answer. It's an important question. And I believe that it's worth for you to reflect upon this and to try to answer honestly this question. And this question also can be an answer for you if by any chance you feel stuck in an unpleasant situation, or you just seem like you cannot achieve your goals on your path. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna end here now because it's almost 30 minutes. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I will be happy to answer. And I will see you in my next video.